Hello everybody. Today is October 1st and it is Stampin' Up's World Card Making Day. So I haven't been on in a long time and I thought today would be a great day to share some fun projects with you and introduce you to mystery stamping. This is something that I've done with my team and now I'm ready to branch out and do it with all of you. So thank you so much for joining me today. And I'm going to go over a little bit of things first and then as people are coming on, and then we'll get started with some stamping. All right. So on the mystery stamping part, I just have up here, I'm going to share with you on my table, we have got the Christmas to Remember and Christmas Season. So those are the two stamp sets that I am actually going to be using today. But you can use any stamp set that you have. Feel free to stamp along with me as I do it if you've cut some paper on that. If not, you have all the dimensions and you can go ahead and put your projects together afterwards. I'm going to go at a little bit slower pace so that if you are following along, then you will be able to do it with me. And if you have questions and things, just put it in the comments. If you're watching, go ahead and tell me where you're from. If you attend my classes, if you're a demonstrator, just give me a little information about you too. All right, so I'm going to set this aside for just a moment. And I am going to tell you a few other things. So I do have my host code that's going on, and this host code will be good through the 5th. The important part about that host code is that Stampin' Up is going to offer free shipping on October 4th. So it's Tuesday, October 4th, and it's 24 hours. So if there's anything you see today or anything you've been thinking about purchasing, go ahead and use my host code, and then you'll get free shipping on all orders of $75 or more. All right, so that's one little tidbit that's coming up. Another thing that Stampin' Up has coming up starting October 4th is a starter kit promotion. So if you have a long list of products that you would like and you'd like free shipping on it, you can join my team. Usually it's $99 and you will receive $125 worth of product. That's of your choice, free shipping. You'll also get any other supplies that Stampin' Up sends you that will help you, whether you're choosing to do it as a business or just share it with your friends or just stamp for yourself and get a discount. During this special, it goes from October 4th through October 31st. You're going to get $155 of product for $99. So it's an amazing deal. If that's something that interests you and you would like to find out more information, just go ahead and message me on Facebook and I'd be happy to answer any questions for you. All right. Now let me just check, make sure I am streaming live here, which I look like I am. I'm going to center this maybe a little bit better. There we go. Okay. I'm going to peek over here real quick. Okay, let me get out of there. All right. So as I said, feel free to put your name in if you are here watching. And if not, even if you don't want to put anything in, that's fine too. I am going to go ahead and get started and share with you how I do my mystery stamping. All right, as I said, these were the two stamp sets that I chose to use, and I'm going to show you where they are. These happen to have been two stamp sets that were in last year's holiday catalog that I fell in love with, and luckily Stampin' Up decided to keep them around. So they are in our annual catalog, and they are on page 44 and 45. What's nice about these is they coordinate. There is the stamp set with all of the images, and then there's another stamp set and die set that coordinate that have all these greetings. This is an amazing greeting stamp set for the holidays. So if you're looking for something that you can use year after year, I think the Christmas to Remember is an amazing one to get. Now the paper I am using also was featured last year in the holiday catalog, but it is also back in our mini catalog that we have right now. It is on page 29 and it is called Painted Christmas. I really like this paper. It has, if I can get a little closer, it has a variety of kind of more natural with the pine cones and that, but it also has some fun other designs in there. Definitely some papers that you could use even after the holidays. It is 12 by 12 and it is $12 for 12 sheets. All right. Now I did post in, let's see, I'm trying to, okay, sorry about that. I did post in my Facebook page, and I also sent it out, my mystery stamping directions. So basically what the mystery stamping directions are they're the dimensions of the card that we're going to create. So I gave you a little picture here of the papers I chose, and then down below I have the different paper. So Designer Series, Real Red, Garden Green, and Basic White. I did add some ribbon and linen thread. So let me grab that out. So here is my Designer Series paper. I am using this Real Red ribbon that comes as a bundle in our mini catalog. I'm going to reach up here out of the way. And it also comes with this Garden Green, which we're going to be using some of that today too. My basic linen thread, I can't live without that. All right, I do have one of our medium Whisper White or Basic White envelopes we're going to use. I have my Real Red that is 3.5 by 4.5, and then I have a piece of Basic White which is 3.25 by 4.25. I have a piece of my Garden Green that is 3.25 by 4.25, and then another piece of Basic White that is 3 by 4. All right. I did pull in a scrap of some of my Designer Series paper, and I'm going to add that to my envelope once we get started. Okay. The first thing I want to show you is how I scored my Designer Series paper. So I'm going to set my pieces right here aside, and I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer. My paper trimmer, I'm going to flip it around this way. I'm kind of going to do it upside down, but I think it will be easier to see. My paper is 5.5 by 12 inches. Okay. Now I've decided I want this paper to be the base of my card. That's going to face up. So I'm going to start by scoring that at 4.25 inches. Now if you have the Stampin' Up! Trimmer, it comes with 2 blades. You want to make sure you're just using that gray blade, and you also want to be careful with your Designer Series paper. Designer Series paper is definitely a little thinner than our cardstock, so when you score, you want to score gently, but make sure you give a good increase. Okay. I'm just checking here because I don't think my comments are showing up. So I'm sorry if you're commenting and it doesn't show up, I will go back and I will answer any questions and share with you. Okay, so now I'm going to move it to 7.25. Go ahead and score again. And then I'm going to move it to 10.25 and score again. Now I will add those dimensions so that you have those. Go ahead and fold it, and I'm going to grab my bone folder. I can't believe I didn't have it with me. Go ahead and just give it a good crease, and I'm going to fold back. Give it another good crease, and then fold it over one more time. By doing this now, I have both of my different papers showing, which is what I love. Let me move that more to the center there. I kind of keep working over here. Hi, Kathy. Thanks so much for joining. All right, so I have my paper folded, and now I'm going to work on my stamping. So I'm going to set this aside, and I'm going to bring in both of my white pieces of paper and my envelope. So I'm going to kind of use all 3 of these when I do some stamping. Now, one of the fun things about mystery stamping is as I'm stamping, you don't know what the finished card is going to look like, but I think you're going to really, really like it. So just follow along and enjoy. If you're stamping along with me, just let me know. Leave a little message there so I know you're following along. And if you're just watching as we go, that's awesome too. All right, let's find. The first thing I'm going to do is start with a smaller piece of basic white paper here. That is going to be my focus on the front of the card. I am going to be using some of my early espresso ink, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp the image right there in the middle. Put that aside. And next I need to add some little branches. So what I'm trying to do is kind of duplicate some of this image that's right here. The colors I'm going to use are Real Red and then Evening Evergreen. Excuse me. I think I need to take a quick drink. Now I want to kind of get a little shaded look so it's not all one color. So I'm going to set these aside. I'm going to start right here on this one. When I stamp, and I just literally stamped in the red instead of the Evening Evergreen. That wasn't very smart. Let me just clean up my stamp really quick here. We definitely don't want red branches there. Okay, we are back. Here's my Evening Evergreen. I'm actually going to put it right next to me so I don't do that again. Now I'm going to go and fill in, and I'm stamping twice, so I'm giving it 2 different looks. And then I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to do a little bit more on the top. So I'm going to stamp it once and then move it over and do twice. I'm going to stamp it once and move it over like that. So now this, as I said, was my smallest piece of the Whisper, or like, we keep going back to Whisper White, the basic white. Now I'm going to bring in my larger piece of basic white, and I'm going to stamp that one. This one, I'm just going to stamp a little bit in the corner. And I think I'll add a little bit up here too. All right. Now, if you want to do something on your envelope, this is a great time. So I'm going to add a little bit just down here in the bottom of the corner. Let me wipe off that stamp because I may be using that again later. Okay, I'm going to set my Evening Evergreen ink aside. Hi, Kit. Thanks for joining me. And now I'm going to add some of my early espresso, and I'm just using this little branch right here. So I want a little bit lighter look, so I'm going to stamp it off and then just put it right here in the middle. I'm going to stamp it off and add it right here in the middle. I think I'm going to even add a little bit up here at the top. Now I think this layout, this design that I'm doing, would also be great with like a floral set. It could also be fun with like just a geometric shape set, something like that. But I do love this layout. I really, really enjoy this fold because we all have lots of designer series paper, and you can get 2 of these out of 1 sheet. All right, now we need to add those berries. So I'm going to bring in my little berry stamp here. I'm going to stamp those off and line that up just like that. Now in the paper, it shows them kind of a little variegated. And so that's why I'm kind of stamping off, just to give it a little bit, you know, softer look. And I think it coordinates a little bit better with the paper. All right, now let's add this one up here. All right, so now we have all 3 of our pieces stamped. We have our envelope, I'll set that aside, and then we have our 2 smaller pieces. So let's go ahead and adhere those to our cardstock. We have the Garden Green and we have the Real Red. Now the paper has Garden Green, it has Evening Evergreen, and it even has Pear Pizzazz. So I'm trying to use some of the different colors in here to kind of bring out the colors that are in the paper. Hi Katie, thanks so much for joining. All right, now I will go ahead and adhere that there. So now we can go and start putting our card together. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my larger piece here and I'm going to adhere it to the inside. So this piece right here is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, just like a standard card would be. And I like to add this piece right here in the center. Just kind of try and make sure. I think that's pretty straight. And then I'm going to fold my paper just like that. And on the left side, I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to add some adhesive. Kind of go all the way down, make sure it's on there pretty strong. And I'm going to line this up with the white. So the white piece here is the same dimension as my garden green. And so this is going to cover it up just like that. And so if you look close, it has a nice border. It has the red and then it has the garden green, and you can see both of those from the front. All right, the next thing we need to do is take some of our ribbon, and I'm going to slip my ribbon behind right here. I believe that's what I did. Make sure I did the same thing. And then you don't really need to add adhesive or anything. By putting the ribbon in here, it's going to just work together. So I'm going to pull that over. And I am going to add a bow down here at the bottom. I love this red and green ribbon. As I said, it comes as a combo pack, and you get 5 yards of the red and 5 yards of the green. So there's plenty to do, a lot of cards, and when you're working with some paper that has both colors, it's great because you can interchange the two. Okay, I always like to add a little bit more, so I'm just going to add a linen thread bow on top. Now, if you are going to mail this, if you wanted to make this as a Christmas card and you're going to mail it, you might want to, instead of doing a bow in the red, you might just do a knot and then maybe add a linen thread bow on top of that. That way it wouldn't be as bulky and thick, and maybe hopefully you wouldn't have to pay the extra postage. All right, so there we go. And now I have some festive, let me see where they disappeared to. Did they fall? Yep, they did. Okay. These are some of our festive pearls, and they have red, a light green, silver, and gold. So it comes with a great combination. I think it's an awesome one for the holidays because you can really just change it up however you would like it. And I'm just going to grab a few and just scatter them on here. So on this one, I'm going to go ahead and just use the silver. And these ones, I'll hold them a little closer if you can see. They're real shiny. They're not like a matte look, but they're definitely like silver and gold, like sparkly silver and gold, which is really nice. All right, so now we can open our card, and there we have the inside and the outside, and it folds like that. Okay, so let's just finish off our envelope. I am going to take the top part here, and I'm going to add some adhesive. And then I'm going to lay this down. Now when you do this, if your paper has a direction, remember to have it so that when you fold it over like this, your branches are going in the right direction. Once you have that, you can go ahead and trim it off. And this one, you could really use either of the papers. I chose to use the little print. And now we have this cute color combination with the envelope, the coordinated envelope, and the card. All right, I hope you guys really like that card. It's one of my favorite folds that I like to use a lot. All right, our card number 2, let me move this down. This was our card number 2, and on it we have the designer series paper, real red, pear pizzazz, garden green, and basic white. And I'm going to bring those pieces in. And again, I have some scraps of this, so we'll use that for the envelope at the end also. All right. Now this is a different fold, but I think you guys are going to really like it. I started with a piece of basic white, and it is 4 1/4 by 11. and it's scored at 5.5. So that is going to be our base. And now I have a piece of pear pizzazz that is 4.25 by 11, and I scored it at 2.75, and I scored it at 5.5. We have a piece of basic red, and this one is 4 by 5.25, and the designer series paper is 3.75 by 5. I have a piece of garden green here that is 3 by 4, and then my basic white 3 by 4, so it's 2.75 by 3.75. I'm looking to see if I didn't add this piece of white, so I'll have to add that to the instructions. And then I have a piece of real red that is 4 by 2.5, and my designer series paper is 3.75 by 2.25. Okay, and here I'm using the green ribbon and some more of the linen thread. Let's go ahead and adhere our designer series paper. Hi Kathy, thanks so much for joining. Now, one of the things that I love about our designer series paper is you may fall in love with some of the colors and others may not be your favorite. But what's great is you can use either side of them. Or if you love both sides, then you've got 2 full sheets. You can mix it up a bit. Okay. There we go. So we have our 2 designer series papers, and we are going to add them to this piece. So we have our 4.25 by 5.5 base. I'm going to fold it down, and then I'm folding back this piece right here. I'm going to use my bone folder like that, and I'm going to rotate my card. So now it can stand up like this. Okay, that's not very strong, the flappy part, so that's where this piece comes in handy. I am going to use my bone folder again, get a nice crisp crease, and then I'm going to add some adhesive onto here. I'm going to take my pear pizzazz and I'm going to lay it right on top of that basic white. I'm not pressing down because I want to kind of hold it and make sure that it lines up with that white. So we have our basic white, and then we layered on top our pear pizzazz. So our card will actually go like this. So it will stand up, and now we're going to decorate it. Okay, so our large piece here, you've probably figured out, is going to go right on top here. This piece really doesn't have any certain direction, so I think it can go whichever way. This one does seem like the branches are going up, so I want to make sure when I put that one on that I have it going the right way. I just add adhesive to it, and we don't want that to be on there quite yet, so I'm just going to bring my little pad here. Actually, that's really dirty. Let me get a cleaner one. I use this a lot with my pastels. And I want to tie my ribbon on the side here. So this is just one of our silicone mats, and if you already have adhesive on something, it'll easily pull up versus, you know, on your paper where it's going to stick and pull. So there we go. All right, so we have this, and I'm going to bring it over to the side a little bit more. There we go. And because it's on top of the adhesive, I'm going to add a little more adhesive there and maybe a little dash in the middle. I'm going to bring my card back, and I'm going to lay it there. I think that's good right there. Okay, so I'm going to adhere that to the front. So there is our base. So let's bring in our stamping part. We have our garden green and our basic white. And on this, we're going to use a greeting that says, may this be a Christmas to remember and cherish. And again, I'm going to stamp that in my early espresso. And that's a little crooked. We flip it over, see if I come more from on top, if I can see it better, hopefully. Yes, that's much better. And then we're going to add a couple stamped image. Now, as I'm stamping these, you may say, I don't have that stamp set or I don't have that paper. Well, I'm going to be sharing with you next week 3 more cards with these layouts. And then the following week, I'm going to show you even 3 more cards. So I'm going to show you, these are Christmas. Next week, I'm going to be sharing with you some Halloween. And the following week, I'm going to share the same ones with some florals. So I'm excited to share the different ones, and you will be able to see how easily you can just change something up and the same layout, use it over and over again. All right, here we go. I'm just going to add, this is Pear Pizzazz, and I'm going to come in from the side there, and then I am going to add, let's see, my Evening Evergreen. And that one is going to be in this bigger branch. And I think I'm going to stamp that off because Evening Evergreen is really a pretty dark color. There we go. Let me wipe that off so I see when I'm using reds and dark greens in that, I always seem to get ink on my fingers, and I'm sure you guys do the same thing. I like to keep a pack of wipes near me so that I can wipe off what gets on me. Hopefully I'll catch that. I'm going to stamp that off. I think I'll add a branch there. And I probably should have done a little stamping on the inside of the card. Maybe I'll do that. Since I have it all out, I can easily add that. So again, I'm just switching that out. So my front is really basic. I didn't do a lot of stamping on it. When I do my holiday cards, I think it's great to have something that's simple but has a little wow to it. And I think by having the fun fold, that kind of does add that special wow. I'm going to go ahead and add some adhesive along the bottom. And then I'm just going to pop that on just like that. Let's add some of that linen thread down here. And again, you know, if this is something you are mailing, you can just do a knot instead of the bow and then add the little linen thread. There we go. And on this one, I think I'm going to add some of the gold gems. So let me just put a couple on here. Like that. Now, as I said, the inside is all white, so we can easily just come back and add a little bit more. So let's go ahead and do that right now. That way our inside matches our outside. So I'm going to do that. Let's add some of that evergreen. And while we're at it, we missed one other thing. I think we need to do a little stamping on our envelope. So I'm going to also do that. Add a little bit of our little berries there. Now you notice a lot that I am stamping off, stamping on, that type of thing. I like to use my inks as much as I can. So by using it that way, I'm able to give a little varied look, but still sticking to the basics. I think I'm going to use a little bit of the brown. Since I used early espresso, I'm just going to go ahead and just flick a little bit in here. Not a lot, but a little bit, so it kind of just dresses up that a little bit more, adds a little more. All right, so here's our card, and let's do that envelope really quickly. All right, let's start with our bigger branch here. And then we'll bring in that Evening Evergreen over here. I'll put these out of the way so I don't get them all over me. All right, and now we'll bring in our branch and our red little berries. There we go. I'm going to move my ink out again so that I don't put my hand in it. I think I'll add a little splatter on here. What I like to do is when I have some of my older markers that are kind of wearing out a little bit, It's a perfect time to use them to do spattering and things like that. All right, now I'm going to add some to my top. Now you'll notice that this scrap is not going to be wide enough to do the whole piece, but that's okay. I'm just going to trim off my envelope and it'll be just fine. But a lot of times with designer series paper, you end up with 2-inch strips. So that's what this one is here. I'm going to go ahead and just trim it straight off like that. And then this side, I'm going to trim it straight off like that. And then I'm just going to cut this straight off. So just take off that little rounded part at the top. So here is our second card, all coordinated, the envelope, the inside, the outside. It's just a fun set. All right, so that was number 2. How are you guys doing? I'm glad you are liking those cards. Thank you so much. So now let's move on to card number 3. This one here, again, I'm using the same papers. The only thing different I added was a little crumb cake. I have my designer series paper, Real Red, Evening Evergreen, crumb cake, and basic white. I have my envelope I'm going to set there. All right. So we have our Real Red card base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. We have some designer series paper, 4 by 5 1/4. I have this piece that is cut 4 inches by 9, and then I scored it at 3 and 6. So I'm going to bring my bone folder in here, press it really good. And when it opens, it's going to open like this. So this is going to go flat into your card. And then I also have a piece of designer series paper that's 1 1/2 and it's by 10. It could be 10, could be 12, something like that. I'm going to add it to this. And I have 2 pieces of crumb cake. And they are 2 1/2 by 2 3/4 by 2. And then my 2 white pieces are 2 1/2 by 3 1/2. One of them I'm going to use for a punch, and one of them is going to go on the inside of the card. All right, I'm just pulling my sample card out over here for me so that I can take a little peek as I'm going. I am also using a little sponge dauber here. I just found these at the Dollar Tree, I think it was, or something. And they're great to just use the tip of it when you want to add a little bit of color. I have my Real Red there, but I'm not using linen thread on this one, and you'll see why in just a moment. Okay, let's go ahead and stamp, or not stamp, let's adhere some of these pieces. So we're going to put that right there. And then I'm going to add adhesive on the back. And I'm going to leave the ends without really that much adhesive. I'm going to kind of like a 1/2 inch on the end, not put adhesive. The reason I'm doing that, sometimes when you are adding designer series paper or 2 layers of paper, when you go to fold it, it kind of pulls up a little bit. So I didn't want my ends to be short. I wanted to make sure that my paper went all the way to the edge. So now on my ends, I can just trim that little piece off, and it's nice and flush right there. I'll do the same to this side. See, I'm a little bit off there. Okay. So now our piece is going to be like this. We're going to adhere it, and it's going to open like that. Now I am using our Seal Plus, which is super strong. When I'm doing just basic things like adding this, I just dab it in the corners. But on this, I want to make sure it stays really well. So I am putting it all around. I'm going to add some ribbon. And I'm going to tie the bow on the left side. So I just want to make sure it's about even on that side. And then I will adhere this down. Now we want to leave that open right now. We'll finish that off in a second. And we're going to bring our white piece here, one of our white pieces, and I am going to my greeting. So I'm doing something, I'm going to do this one too. I'll do them both at the same time. This one here says, have a holly jolly Christmas, and I wanted to have two colors. So I am going to do the scripty writing in red, but then this block writing I am going to do in my evening evergreen marker. I'm going to come back down here, do the same thing, get all those letters. Try not to get it on the scripty letters, and then I'm going to come back with my real red. And I'm going to add real red to that. Kind of look over, make sure I didn't miss any spots, like the top of the J there. Okay. I'm going to give it a little huff. Whoops, I got a fingerprint there. And I'm going to stamp it right in the middle of this piece here. I'm going to take this label punch. This is in a bundle in our mini catalog. Oh, I'm sorry, in our annual catalog. And it's great to use for things like this. I think this fits perfect in there. So this is going to go on my front. And one of the other greetings in this bundle, this one is a script, and it says, I'll show you this way, it says Merry Christmas, but I really only want the Christmas. I'm just going to use a small block. And then in this block printing, there's a Merry. So I'm going to go ahead and use that on the inside. Again, I'm going to use the Evening Evergreen for the block. And I'm going to stamp the Merry right there. And then I'm going to come and ink up the Christmas and stamp it below. This way, I'm kind of bringing together the same design as this one, and I'm doing it on the inside, but I'm using two different stamps, both from the same set. And I'm just going to add the Christmas right there. I think that looks great together. And then I'm going to do a little stamping. So let's see, what stamps do I need? Okay, I need this larger one right here, the little branch. And then I'm going to use the smaller one here again. And that's all I'm going to use. So I need Evening Evergreen and some Pear Pizzazz. So let's do the Pear Pizzazz first. And this time I'm going to remember to bring my envelope in so I can use that also. Get them both done at the same time. So I'm going to add a little Pear Pizzazz there. And then I'm going to add some there. And how about right there? Alrighty. Now I'll bring in some of the Evening Evergreen. Actually, I'm using Garden Green, not Evening Evergreen. I haven't used the Garden Green, I don't think, on any of it, so I want to bring that in. That way we're kind of using both. And, whoops, how about if I do that over there? And then I'll do the same on here. Kind of overlap a little bit. And maybe bring some down here. Alrighty, so that is our stamping on there. Now we have our pieces. I think we can see all those pieces up there. I am going to bring in my mini die cut machine here. And I am going to use this embossing folder right here. It's a double one and it's in our annual catalog. And this one is called Wintry 3D. Hoping now that I have the right pieces to do it. So I'm just going to set that in there. And let's see if I can get it going through here. You know what? I need my other piece here. Hold on one second. I totally forgot to bring that out. All right, there's different pieces that come, so I think this should be the right one. This is the number 4, and I have a clear plexi. There we go. So you would think I would have done this ahead of time to make sure I had it right. Well, that just goes to show you that as demonstrators, we are always not right on top of it. So I am going to use, let's see, my number 3. Let's try the number 3. And we're going to put this on here. I did them when I did my samples, and yeah, I guess I did it on my bigger one because that's what I usually have on my table. Here we go. So I'm sorry, it is the number 3 that we're using with 1 clear plexi. There we go. All right. And now we have this really cute design here. Everything's moved around on my desk. This fun little design. It's just like the little branches, spriggy branches. We're going to bring in some of our crumb cake ink. And I'm just going to dab it, and I'm going to go around the edges. You really only need to do 3, like 2 the short and then 1 of the long. And then I'm going to do both of my papers here. Kind of just giving a different look. Crumb cake is the background color in the designer series paper we're using on this piece. So that's why I thought I'd add a little bit of this in here. Okay. Now we are going to add some adhesive. Now one thing you'll find when you do emboss with our embossing folders, sometimes it breaks up the fibers in the paper. So instead of using your adhesive on the paper, there, I'm going to go ahead and use it inside here. So I'm just going to put it there. I'm going to take and just center this. I'm kind of lifting that paper a little bit off the edge. I want this to kind of tuck right under there. I'll line right up with that. There we go. So I'm going to put that down right there. And then I'm going to adhere this right on top. Just like that. There we go. And now we'll do the front. So same thing, I'm just going to add some adhesive. Whoops, get that going. Some adhesive right there. Line that up. Press it down. And then I'm going to tie my ribbon in a bow right here off to the side. When I was doing the cards, I wanted to use as many different designer series papers as I could, and I think I kind of accomplished that. I think every card has different paper. So I'm going to use a few dimensionals on here. I can't believe this is the first thing I've used a dimensional on. That's surprising because I usually use so many of them. Okay, I'm going to put that right up there. And then I'm going to bring back in those rhinestones, and I think I'm going to use the red this time. I'm going to sprinkle a couple right on here, and then maybe bring some up here. There we go. All right, let's finish that one off by adding the paper to our envelope. I had some scraps that were cut 6 by 6. I think it was from a class or something. So that's why I had a lot of these pieces. And I believe about 2.5 inches is really the width that you need. So you don't need anything much wider than that. There's my scissors. I'm looking all over. Here we go. Okay. Now I know not everyone could join at this time. But if you comment and tell me your favorite card now through tomorrow night, if you want to share the video, you can share it. If you comment, I'm going to do a drawing, and I'm going to show you in just a second what we're going to draw for. But there we go. So that's our third card. All right, let me move this aside a little bit for right now, and I'll bring all 3 cards back in here for you to see. My dogs seem like they're getting a little happy. Someone must be at the door. Okay. All right, and here is our third one. I don't know if I can get them all in here. Let's see. that. Sorry about that. I'm kind of trying to make sure I can get all of them up here for you. All right, there we go. So those are the 3 mystery stamping cards. I hope you guys like them. They're a lot of fun to make, and I think they're 3 layouts that you will be able to use over and over again. And you guys want to see a sneak peek of my Halloween ones with the same design? You guys will get a sneak peek. I'm going to move my envelopes out of the way so that I can set the cards next to each other and you can see the comparison of these cards. Now I will be posting these cards on my blog, and I will have a link on my Facebook page, or I'll probably share it to my Facebook page. But let's go with our first card, which was this one. So here is my Halloween card. Now you'll notice, let me see if I can drop this down a little bit. Okay. It's pretty similar, but I did step it up a bit. When I designed these cards, I kept them simple. I didn't do any die cuts. I wanted it just paper that you could easily cut and create your card. So it opens up like this, and I put the ribbon on the inside of this one. Okay. This one here, I use one of our scallop dies, and I use the scallop die, there we go, on the inside also. I did a little embossing here, and then on the ribbon, I colored it with our Stampin' Blends. Now, one thing that will surprise you is that this Highland Heather ribbon right here is, I'm reaching up above, hold on a second, is this ribbon right here. So I don't know about you guys, but there's not always a color ribbon that we want, that we have. So a lot of times I will use our white crinkle ribbon. So this is our white crinkle ribbon. You see me color it a lot of times. I actually use this one right here, and this is seam binding. It's soft seafoam seam binding. So it's a light color, but I colored it with my Highland Heather Stampin' Blend, and so you would never think that I could take that to make that. So if you're looking to have another spool of ribbon that's maybe a little bit wider than our crinkled white, grab this, because if you're doing anything just a tad bit darker, it's going to cover this up and it's going to be really nice. Now the Designer Series paper that I'm using here is our Hostess paper. What's amazing about it, it's got 48 sheets, and with a $150 workshop, you're going to get that with your host credit. So that's an awesome thing that you can do. And it has holidays. It has Christmas, it has fall, it has Halloween, it even has like 4th of July, something maybe you could use for New Year's. It's a really, really fun pack. Okay, card number 2. This is the one I just shared with you. I move this out of the way. And then here is my next one. This one opens up again the same, like that. I added some punched out stars up here. I did the same with the ribbon, but I used our Granny Apple Green. And this set here, it comes with a coordinating punch, so I punched out the hat. And then we have the white on the inside, which I think I need to do some stamping in there. So that is number 2. And then our third one, we have this card here. This is one of my favorites, and I did this card here. So again, I colored my gingham ribbon. I used a blending brush and did like a variegated color on the back of that square. I used the scallop dies, and then I also used these stitch dies, and then when I opened it up, it's like that. These dies come with the stamp set, and all the information and all the different items that I used on these cards will be in that blog post, so that if you need a few Halloween cards, you will be able to get stamping on those. All right, so let me just set these up here real quick and leave them on for a moment. I get them all up here again. All right. Scooch them up. I need to do my coordinating cards to go with my Halloween ones. I haven't done that yet. And then I'm just going to bring back in my host code for you. I'm going to fold this over. I think I'll move it down. So if you want to place an order, just go ahead and go to my website. There we go. And use this host code. And anyone that uses that host code, if you shop on Tuesday, October 4th, will have free shipping. And if you shop between now and October 5th, any day for any amount, you will be entered in a drawing for a special gift. Now, I said I was going to do drawing also. I'm going to show you the, I'm looking for them right now. Here they are. I have 3 drawings I'm going to do. I have 3 different embellishments. And so now through tomorrow night at midnight, if you leave a comment and tell me which is your favorite card that I designed, your name will go in a drawing, and I will be sending out, I'll draw 3 names and be sending out 3 different embellishments, just as a thank you for watching and sharing. All right, if you have any questions, make sure that you leave them in the comment section, and I will definitely get back to you. I want to thank you again for joining me today. I've kind of been off for the last month and a half with some family stuff, but I'm excited to be back, and I'm excited to be sharing my stamping with you again. I want to thank you all for joining me, and I hope you will be back next week. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.